Colin Kaepernick took a stance against police brutality towards African Americans by not standing for the national anthem. He was the first in the NFL to do so. What are your thoughts about this situation?
Well, okay, so I think with Colin Kaepernick's taking a stand, I think it's beginning a wave like of protesting of all the things that like people have been through, and just he's starting something that allows people to be like, okay, like if he's protesting, taking a knee against police brutality and stuff, everyone else should be okay and be able to take a stand and protest for what they believe in.
I agree with what Kayla said. I don't believe we as people have the right to tell other people what is okay, what's okay to do and like what's not. And if we look at historical movements throughout history, like we see with Selma and we see with the women's suffrage movements, it's not people just always going up and saying, hey, I believe this is wrong, but it's mostly often the physical actions, like him taking a knee, that gets the message across. And I think he's been really effective in a sense by him like physically not standing for the pledge. It's been more effective than him saying like, oh yeah, this is wrong, and going up there and giving a speech about it.
I think everybody has the right to protest, and I do agree with his stance and what he was trying to do. But I think the kind of way in which he did so might have rubbed some people the wrong way, and instead of them interpreting it as kind of taking a stance against police brutality, they instead interpreted it as disrespecting the flag and disrespecting the country and what it stands for. And I think that is kind of where the controversy comes in terms of what were his true intentions. And so I think maybe he could have been more clear, like deliberate about that, just to better get the message across and kind of eliminate that gray area.
Jordan Peele's Get Out contained multiple messages. What do you think the major message was? How effective do you think the movie was at articulating this message?
One thing I thought the movie did really well was highlight some of the subtle racism in just conversational tones. So, like in the movie, the main character, he's the only African American at this all-white party, and he's talking to his girlfriend's like family members and friend of family members, and then it's just small things in their conversations that from day to day, like we don't notice, but in the movie it highlights. So, like there's a scene where he's talking to an older white guy, and when he introduces himself, the white guy changes his sort of tone and attitude. He goes from like, "Oh, hello, how are you doing?" to "What's up, man? Like, how are you doing, bro?" Like those subtle changes are subtle changes in his attitude towards him because he's African American. Or so there's another scene where they're talking about sports, and the white guy asks him, "Oh, you know, do you play golf?" He goes, "Oh, I don't know much about golf." And the white guy just adds, "Oh yeah, I love Tiger. Tiger Woods is the best. He's great."
Yeah, I mean, when I think even with social media now, we're constantly like having these interactions with other people, and I think it's so much easier for stereotypes to get across. And I think after you see it, eventually, you start to think it. I mean, like in Quest, when we talked about that one experiment where people were told stereotypes about themselves, and then their self-esteem went down as a result of being told that stereotype about themselves. So I think it definitely does have an impact. And I think the way to cure that is to just have more of a representation of all different types of people across movies, TV, what you see on your Instagram, Snapchat feed when you open it up every day. So like, I think that just showing a more broader spectrum of people in everyday pop culture is going to help alleviate some of those stereotypes and help show people that just because you look this way doesn't mean that you're this, or just because you look that way doesn't mean that you certainly have to be this way either.
This year marks 50 years since the assassination of Martin Luther King. What do you think he would say looking at our society today?
That he would be disappointed, but I don't think he'd be devastated because we've made progress.
Yeah.
Despite everything that's happened, we've made progress, although we don't see it as much because it's been a while. But even just looking at rights of all people, transgender people, they've become more accepted in society. Gay marriage was, legalized recently. And I think the fact that he would be proud we're having these discussions, like we mentioned before, like the fact that we know what's wrong, we know what we need to fix, and that we're trying to do it with this, future generation. Like we're gonna, not really, I'm sorry, that came out wrong. We're gonna like be in charge of our own futures and stuff like that.
And we've come a really long way from like 50 years ago where you can't even drink at the same water fountain as a white person. So you'd be really, really proud of what we've come to. I know it's not perfect like he wanted it to be, but we've made a lot of progress. That's right.
In agreement with everyone. I feel like he would be grateful, at the same time disappointed. He would be grateful because just before this lens, like all of us, we're different ethnicities, different talents, and all educated. But I feel like he'd be disappointed because though the shackles are off physically, it's literally on mentally. Like, you can't go out in the dark with a hood on, and if you definitely shouldn't be outside at all when the night falls. And if two people are committed to a job, we all know that anyone who's more Caucasian or just African American have a better chance of getting a job. It's not present as in physical, right? You can see it as an older age, but it's still there.